Prepare to have your understanding of ancient Egypt upside down. When we think of ancient Egypt, we envision pharaohs, pyramids, and golden tombs shimmering under the blazing sun. But the reality is far more than that. Beneath the shine, the glory, and the shimmer lies something way darker. Nile is not just a river. It's a door that, when opened, reveals the most shocking truths. In ancient Egypt, the Nile was the lifeblood that gave birth to one of history's greatest civilizations. Its floods nourished the soil, and its waters sustained life. But what if I told you that it is also a graveyard of many of the cities it helped build? Violent floods, destructive deluges, and Earth's tremors erased the memory of these cities from this planet. For centuries, we did not know much about these cities. But now, these lost worlds are re-emerging, thanks to the archaeologists. Gigantic sculptures, submerged temples, wrecked ships, and other items have surfaced, providing a chilling insight into a culture that vanished beneath the waves. So, today, we are diving deep into the untold story of Egypt's forgotten cities and their secrets lying beneath the surface. To understand how entire cities vanished beneath the Nile, we must step back to the world that once thrived along its banks, but is now hidden beneath its surface. Beneath the surface, a lost world. Ancient Egypt was one of the greatest civilizations in history. It was known for its monumental pyramids, pharaohs, tombs, and mummies. Still, there was one thing that really set the stage for this civilization. It was the Nile. The Nile was more than just a river. It was the foundation of this civilization, providing water and fertile soil for agriculture. It also served as a vital transportation route for trade, resources, and people. Along the banks of the Nile stood cities full of life. Merchants, farmers, and builders all used the Nile in their own way. Merchants used it for trade, while farmers and builders used it for irrigation and construction. In other words, it was the source of life in Egypt. But have you ever imagined what happens if every color, every movement, disappears in an instant? This is what happened with the cities along the Nile. Streets were drowned, the tombs were collapsed, and the ships in the water were swallowed by the Nile, just like a whale swallows small fish. Whole civilizations were wiped out, not because of invading armies, but by a river that once sustained them. For centuries, these cities only existed in faint whispers. People got knowledge of them through the names scribbled in manuscripts, stories retold by Greek historians, and the scholars' debates that had no proof until then. Some believed these stories, but for some, these were just myths. The truth was hidden under the surface of the water. Only the Nile that destroyed these cities could reveal it. But Nile had no intention to do it itself. And for archaeologists, this was not an easy task because the Nile is not a calm river. Its powerful currents and thick layers of sediments made it hard for the archaeologists to reach its depths. So, archaeologists had to use a variety of tools and technologies to achieve their depth and reveal the hidden secrets beneath its surface. Their research relied on sonar mapping, remote-operated vehicles, and divers skilled in navigating a world with almost zero visibility. These techniques helped scientists see the world as it was thousands of years ago. Every object they found, every artifact they pulled from the depths, was more than a discovery. It revealed secrets no one knew before. It was the voice of lost cities, reminding us that Egypt's story is not only about pyramids, pharaohs, and tombs. It is much more than that. For centuries, these were just myths because no one had any proof of them. However, when they emerged on the surface, they shocked everyone. But among all the discoveries, one discovery was the most significant. A vast, legendary city where gods were worshipped, pharaohs ruled, and the river itself wrote the final chapter of its fate. Thonis Heracleion, the city of legend. For centuries, Thonis Herakleion merely existed as a phantom in historical records. Ancient Greek writers recounted stories of a powerful Egyptian port where merchants from all over the world came to trade. It was a magnificent place known for its wealth and power. It was like a bridge connecting Egypt and the rest of the world. But with time, this glorious city faded into myth. Historians questioned whether it truly existed or whether it was just a legend. This question was answered in 2000 when French underwater archaeologist Frank Gaudio and his team made a discovery that stunned the world. Off the coast of the Nile Delta, beneath the layers of sediment and water currents, they discovered the colossal remains of a city that was believed to be lost for long enough. Thonis Herakleion was real, and it was hidden beneath the surface for nearly 1,200 years. Thonis Herakleion, once a vibrant city at the mouth of the Nile, was a hub of trade and ritual. This city existed long before Alexandria gained prominence in 331 BCE. It served as Egypt's primary entrance to the Mediterranean, where goods, people, and cultures interacted. At its core, a grand temple devoted to Amun played a vital role in dynastic rituals. This city was founded in the 8th century BCE. Natural disasters and political shifts were common in the city, but despite them, the town survived. However, by the 8th century AD, it had vanished beneath the waves. Historian Herodotus remembered it in his writings. He described the temple where the Greek hero Hercules first set foot on Egyptian soil. Strabo, another ancient geographer, placed the city at the canopic mouth of the Nile. Even after all these mentions, the city was a myth. It was not considered more than a legend. There were no visible traces of its temples, ships, and canals. So no one could believe without any proof. Everyone just questioned its existence. But Frank Gaudio and his team believed in its existence, and they proved it. They began the search in 1996, but did not find anything until 2000. A city 6 kilometers off Egypt's coast, submerged beneath 10 meters of water in Abukir Bay, was discovered. This discovery not only revived a lost chapter of ancient history, it also solved a long-standing mystery. For centuries, people not only questioned the existence of this city, but they also thought that Thonis Herakleion was not a single city. But this discovery proved it wrong, because Thonis and Herakleion were not two cities. They were one. The Egyptians and Greeks had known it by different names. Gaudio's team revealed an entire world, sealed under silt and sea for more than 1,000 years. They found colossal statues, temple ruins, and artifacts of daily life, including coins and ceramics. Together, they told the story of a city that flourished between the 6th and 4th centuries BCE, when its massive harbors turned it into a bustling hub of Mediterranean trade. Moreover, they also discovered more than 700 anchors and 79 shipwrecks that were proof of the city's vibrant maritime activity. Another significant discovery came in 2021 with the discovery of the remains of a military vessel beneath the ancient city. This ship sank in the 2nd century BCE while loading massive stones from the temple of Amun. But maritime activity was not the only specialty of this place. Thonis Herakleion also served as a religious center where the mysteries of Osiris were celebrated annually, symbolizing the god's rebirth. Ceremonies took place along the canals, with Osiris being carried in a ceremonial boat from the temple of Amun-Gareb to his shrine in Canopus. These rituals defined the city's religious and cultural identity. Further excavations uncovered a large funerary complex that probably belonged to Greek traders who had settled in Thonis Herakleion during the late Pharaonic dynasties. These merchants, who had built their own sanctuaries near the grand Egyptian temple, were vital to the city's economy. Their presence highlights the multicultural character of the town, where Egyptians and Greeks coexisted, sharing religious and commercial spaces. The story of Thonis Herakleion does not end here. Archaeologists believe that only 5% of the city has been discovered so far, and many of its secrets are still hidden beneath the sea. But the real question is, how did a glorious city vanish in an instant? The answer lies in the unstable ground of the Nile Delta. A series of earthquakes and tidal waves liquefied the land, causing the city to collapse and sink beneath the water. A city that was once the most crucial port of Egypt became a graveyard in an instant. But the water that destroyed the city also preserved it. The treasures were encased in mud and water that shielded it from looters and erosion. This discovery shook the entire world of archaeology. It was a reminder that even myths could turn into reality. And what if I told you that there is one more city, just a short distance away, waiting to be uncovered? Canopus and beyond. More underwater marvels. The city of Canopus was situated on the western branch of the Nile Delta. Thonis was famous for its trade, but Canopus was renowned for its devotion and luxury. While Thonis served as the gateway for sailors and merchants, Canopus was a city of temples, processions, and pilgrimage. Its temples were dedicated to Osiris, the god of the afterlife, and people gathered here from all over the world for religious festivals. The city was not only a place of worship, but also a place of pleasure. Ancient writers described Canopus as a place of feasting, music, and celebration, where Egypt's wealthy elite gathered to enjoy the good life on the Nile's shores. But just like Thonis, Canopus also could not save itself from the wrath of the river. Between the 2nd and 8th centuries AD, ground movement and seismic activity caused the city to collapse and sink in the Mediterranean. As time passed, its temples, shrines, and homes vanished into the same murky depths that engulfed Thonis Heracleion. When archaeologists started investigating the site in the early 2000s, they were amazed by what they found. Stone foundations of sunken temples surfaced from the ocean floor. Carved altars and ceremonial basins were found in sediment, and their surfaces were still marked with writings. Bronze and stone statues were discovered. Some had lost their shape and integrity, while some were standing still, as they had not experienced anything devastating. Divers also recovered intricate ritual items, including oil lamps, amulets, and offering vessels. These artifacts depicted the ceremonies that once took place at this location. Collectively, these findings showed that Canopus was not just a city, it served as a spiritual core. No doubt the city remained hidden for centuries, but once it was discovered, it revealed its true identity. The artifacts demonstrated how Egyptians honored their gods, how they fused Egyptian and Greek religious customs, and how holy celebrations brought life to their streets. Another significant discovery was the colossal quartz sphinx statue bearing the cartouche of Pharaoh Ramesses II, which revealed the ancient ties of Canopus to Egypt's most powerful dynasties. There was also a granite statue of an unknown figure from the late Ptolemaic era, broken at the knees and neck. Moreover, a white marble statue of a Roman nobleman was discovered, revealing the cosmopolitan nature of the city. These discoveries push archaeologists to think more about the hidden worlds lying beneath the surface. Ancient writings speak of more settlements, more shrines, and more cities that just vanished overnight without any sign. Scientists are wondering if 2 cities have emerged on the surface after 1,000 years. How many can still be hidden beneath the Nile? The disappearance of Thonis Heracleion and Canopus was not accidental. The Nile itself wrote their fate. On the surface, you know that earthquakes and rising sea levels brought this fate. Still, if you go deeper into what actually happened, the reality will shake you just like an earthquake. The river's embrace. Why did they sink? The Nile was Egypt's greatest blessing. It gave life to Egypt, but it was also unpredictable. And in its unpredictability lies the seeds of destruction. To understand the destruction and disappearance of these cities, we must turn to the science of the land itself. The Nile Delta, home to these cities, was one of the most unstable landscapes in the ancient world. This landscape was formed after centuries of river silt deposits. On the surface, It looked solid enough to support temples, houses, and bustling markets, but underneath it was fragile and vulnerable. In case of an earthquake, it was evident that the ground below these cities would collapse. But earthquakes were not the only culprit. The Nile's currents were constantly shifting, creating new channels and abandoning old ones. Cities built on the river's edge sometimes found themselves suddenly cut off from fresh water or trade routes. But sometimes the situation turned worse. These cities were swallowed as new floods surged through their streets. Excessive floods could drown a city, but if the flood was too little, it could lead to famine. The balance between prosperity and catastrophe was razor thin. And then there was the sea itself. Over the centuries, rising Mediterranean waters gradually advanced inland and exerted pressure on the delta. Combined with seismic shocks and river floods, it was a perfect recipe for collapse. The destruction wasn't always sudden. Sometimes it was gradual, buildings eroding little by little until entire districts slid beneath the waves. What makes this story even more haunting is the scale. Thonis and Canopus are just the most famous examples, but they were not alone. Geological surveys suggest that entire stretches of Egypt's northern coast shifted over time. Entire settlements, including villages, temples, and shrines, were swallowed, leaving no trace on land. For the ancient people, these disasters seemed like divine punishment. Cities dedicated to gods crumbled into the waters they worshipped. Temples built to honor immortality were themselves drowned by the very river they praised as sacred. And yet, in reality, it was not wrath from the heavens, but the relentless natural forces of earth and water that left no trace of these cities. The Nile gave life, but it also demanded it back. For centuries, the Nile has kept these facts hidden beneath its surface. But now, with new tools and technologies, they are re-emerging on the surface. And archaeologists' findings are revealing extraordinary objects and artifacts that were central to these lost cities. These findings have given answers to many questions regarding the ancient world. But one question still lingers in mind. Are there any other secrets waiting to be uncovered? Future uncoverings. The Nile's continuing secrets. The discovery of the lost cities of Thonis Heracleion and Canopus has proven that the Nile still holds countless secrets beneath its waters. Nature buried these cities thousands of years ago, but science is trying to pull them back into the light. Underwater technology has undergone a significant transformation in the past few decades. If we go back a couple of decades, it was not possible to reach such depths of water to reveal something lost long ago. It was not possible to discover Thonis and Canopus, but now it is possible, thanks to science and its advancement. Today, researchers are using several new technologies to make the impossible possible. They are using sonar imaging to scan the seabed. Moreover, they are creating 3D maps of structures hidden under sediment layers. Remote-operated vehicles are also prominent these days. They can explore deep and dangerous areas that divers are unable to reach. Additionally, satellites are also playing an essential part in this research. Their data reveals faint outlines of ancient river channels that once supported these communities. Through these tools and technologies, scientists have uncovered temples, shipwrecks, and statues that were lost for a millennium. But archaeologists consider it only as a beginning. Their researches suggest the presence of several other buried cities like Thonis and Canopus, and this probability excites the archaeologists even more. It pushes them to dive deeper into the search for the lost cities. Ancient texts also mention several towns that have not been found yet. If that is true, modern technology may soon bring them to light. The discoveries of grand temples, colossal statues, and various artifacts have revealed how ancient people lived, ate, traded, and worshipped, and how suddenly everything just disappeared. The Nile has kept its secrets hidden for millennia, but it could not hide them forever. With every dive, every scan, and every painstaking excavation, scientists got closer to understanding the full story of the river that not only gave birth to Egypt, but also destroyed it in seconds. And each discovery is a call to discover more. It is a reminder that these discoveries are not enough. There is plenty more to uncover, and new technological advancements will help in revealing the secrets beneath the water's surface. The Nile gave life to Egypt, but it also demanded its price. It was home to magnificent cities. But when the water currents shifted, everything just disappeared. However, these lost worlds are now re-emerging with the help of new technology, revealing facts that bring us closer to the people who lived thousands of years ago. These hidden cities are just history buried in the mud. They are echoes waiting to be heard and lessons waiting to be learned. Like this journey into the lost cities of the ancient world? Do not forget to tell us in the comments section. Also, share and subscribe to the channel for more stories.